To the millions and millions of hustlers around the world and those aspiring to be, say this is the young King Whidbee. And the person next to me, that's the coolest chick off the block. That's the incredible, the astonishing Miss Chrissy. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. So what's going on in your world?
Nothing much. Hustling.
I hear you. I hear you. Man, how's the weather over there?
It's actually a little ugly. It's been raining on and off since yesterday.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah,
little
no,
icky.
it's super. Like it's cold in the morning, but then it gets super hot.
Yeah, it's actually been like that for the past few weeks out here too. Like it's been like really cool in the
Okay.
morning. Then
Yeah.
in the afternoon, like it'll warm up. Yeah. So it's been kind
Okay.
of funny over here too.
So for those that are tuning in, usually you would see the homie Jay Betts, but he's no longer here. And we have, I decided to switch it up with various guests so we can close out the first season. And Chrissy, she's a longtime friend. She's somebody that is a hustler. So it's only right that I have her on here. And it's only right that I have a female point of view for this topic. And this topic is more than the woman. So to you, Chrissy, what role does a woman play in life and the hustle?
I think the role that a woman plays for life and hustle is just that. Um, you know, life is gonna life, and hustling is something that's in you, so it's something that's nonstop. So I think that when it comes to a woman, she's definitely going to be able to push herself to be where she needs to be.
Okay.
Um, and again, that can just be within her personal life, whatever her personal experiences are. Sometimes that can be, if it's from a negative standpoint, to try to switch things over into more of a positive light. And it can also be career wise too. But the reality is, like, the hustle doesn't stop. So anytime you come across a woman,
Hmm.
she's dealing with some different levels of hustle. It's
Right.
just who she is.
Right. I feel like for a man, a woman is like that motivation. Even if you're not in a relationship, if you see a woman that has the presence of like she's about her edge, don't look stupid in front of her, don't mess things up. You got to be top notch. You got to be on point. That's the motivation. The woman is like for a man, the end goal, the prize. I'm doing all this because I want to make sure that I get that woman that I want in my life, the woman that I picture that I deserve. And then as far as like the life, you got to think about all the strong women that you have in your corner that force you to go out there and hustle, not baby you, hold your hand and be like, well, here you go, son, I got you. No, it's a lot of strong women that say, no handouts, you go get it. So I feel like without the hustle, without life, a woman is the key to everything. She's the driving factor.
Yes, I agree with that. I am definitely a firm believer that um, women help shape and mold their men.
Hmm.
And I think that if a woman is not capable of doing so, then she definitely needs some time to reflect
Right.
so she can get there. But in order for her to be able to shape and mold a man, she has to be able to shape and mold herself. So she has to be
Gotcha.
comfortable who she is. So I
Okay.
agree with that.
All right. So a woman that understands the hustle, like yourself, is that a positive or a negative? What do you think?
I'm going to say both.
Okay.
And I say both because it also depends on where you are in life. I know for me, um, there's been a time where I've been in like this real dark place, wasn't always happy with things, wasn't always happy with certain outcomes. But
Okay.
I think when you get to a space where you start to hold yourself accountable
Hmm.
and you start to see what life can really do for you, and you start to peel back those layers to be able to propel to move forward and actually obtaining the things that you want and knowing that it's actually possible and being able to get out of certain spaces, right? Because it's not about always being handed things. Sometimes that's just not what life is. That's not how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes, you get yourself into certain situations and you have to be the only person that can maneuver around those things. So I would say just depending on where a woman can be mentally,
Right.
because that's also going to be like a key factor in things. So
Yes.
wherever you are mentally at that time, it can be positive or negative.
I'm glad you said the mental part because my ex, man, like, you know how you say, they say, you clean somebody up.
Yeah.
So basically, I found her in the trash, cleaned her up, her everything, and then she used everything against me. And that's why I feel like when it comes to mental, it's a negative because if that person isn't focused on like what we're going to do together and they only focus on themselves, is detrimental to any relationship they're trying to have because they only focus on themselves, always looking for the bigger, better deal. So as far as a positive thing, if you find somebody, I find a woman that's like, this is what you need to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I bring to the table. This is how I
Mhm.
can make you better. This is what I prefer from you. This is the help that I need from you. This is the
Mhm.
flaws that I have. A woman like that, that's like valuable, priceless. Because in this world, this day and age, a lot of women, they're like, nah, I'm good. Like the old mentality that like our mothers raised us on, it's not there no
Yeah.
more. So if you could find somebody like that that's about the hustle, she knows what she wants, she knows what she wants from you, she knows that at the end of the day, nothing else matters except for what we have. That's that's the positive. But the negative, if you have a negative woman that's just focused on herself, it's detrimental to anything that y'all, not y'all, but if myself, if I want to have a plan with her and she's like, nah, I just want to buy Louis Vuitton, I just want to go around the world, post pictures, and then you look at her bank account, it's on zero. It don't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. There definitely has to be discipline, but I think the overall goal is to also focus on the lesson that you learn in that. And the reality is, we're going to come across people in our lives, family,
Right,
friends, associates, however you want to label it. Sometimes we are going to go through this pivotal change in our life called seasons. And everybody is not meant to come with us. So some people are meant to be in our lives for seasons. And during those seasons, when time is up, regardless of
right,
who's doing what and who's choosing to make the change, it really is about focusing on the lesson. What is the lesson that you get from it? Because it's those lessons that's going to teach you and that's going to help you to prepare forward to continue to become a hustler. A hustler
right.
doesn't stop. A hustler,
Yeah.
sometimes their back is up against the wall, but a hustler is always going to do what he or she needs to do to make sure he or she is moving forward. So I like to
Okay.
be able to say you have to look at life from that lens and the lessons that it teaches you.
hmm Okay, so since you're talking about a hustler, describe your perfect idea of a female hustler.
Hmm. I would say, first, let me start out with saying I don't like to use the word perfect in anything just because I feel like it's
Okay.
too cliche. It's perfect.
hmm
It's like, and a lot of times, to be honest with you, if it's perfect, there's something under surface that's not perfect. We're
Right.
just not able to see it. So I would say solid. And I say solid because you have to be able to navigate through life when your attitude is when you happy, right? What is that like? What is life like for you when you don't have no money? What is life like in your attitude like when you have nobody in your corner to cheer you on? So I would say when it comes to that, it really, again, that just goes back into that mind funnel, that mind channel, right?
Right.
So again, I would say what it is that you choose to believe in. And if you solid and you stay down to that course, or you stay down
hmm
with those goals or whatever it is, it will eventually come. So I don't like to use the word perfect because I feel like it's too cliche. It's too
Right.
cliche because nothing is perfect.
Okay. I'm over here dying. Sorry, it's super hot over here. So okay. So describe your idea of a solid woman that's a hustler?
I would say knowing what she wants,
Okay.
knowing what she is going to go after,
Okay.
regardless of the obstacles that come her way, she's always going to move forward. No matter how many times she slips, she may fall. Um, she's going to have that attitude that no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to get it and I'm going to show you, not just because I'm saying it, I'm going to show you through my actions. So
Okay.
I think to me, that's what solid is. And again, not being able to fold on yourself
Right.
and knowing what you want. So I would say that
Okay. I
that's
like that.
definitely being solid.
For me, I would say someone that when they're back against the wall, I know everybody like sometimes they break down, but she knows that she has a partner that she can lean on. It's not, she doesn't ever feel like it's just her against the world, that she understands the goals that she wants to accomplish, the goals that she wants to accomplish together with whatever partner she's with, the goals for the family. And then just making sure that everything is taken care of, that she doesn't have to worry, that man doesn't have to worry, the kids don't have to worry, that we all have an end goal, we all have a picture that we want to, live out. So that's my idea of a solid woman that's about her hustle. What
I
you
like
think?
that.
Okay,
I like
okay.
that. That's cool. I like that.
So, so what's the most important role for a female to play in the hustle?
Ooh, I think the most important role for a female to play would
Hmm.
be to play out the hand regarding her deck of cards. So the hand
Okay.
that life has given to her, play it to the best of her ability. And just because you were dealt a shitty hand, that doesn't mean that you can't win. Doesn't mean that you can't obtain all that your heart truly desires. So I would say
Okay.
for a woman, it's very important and it's very critical to focus on your hand. Um, don't worry about nobody else's hand. You know, in playing cards, sometimes the opponent that you may be playing against, or if it's dependent on the game, right? That doesn't mean the person sitting across from you or the person that's sitting next to you, it doesn't mean that they have a better hand.
Right.
Sometimes you got to call a bluff. So I would say that would be the most important role that a woman has to play. Stick to your guns and stick to the hand that life dealt you and play it to the best of your abilities.
Okay. I understand. I like that. For me, I have to go back to like I said, that a woman that knows what she wants is not going to fold. It's not going to, you know, doubt her journey. It's not going to compromise herself. That's the most important role because no matter where a female is at, it's always somebody looking at her. And if that person holds themselves to a higher standard, she might not understand it or see it. But like I said, when I see a female that's all put together, she's about her business, I'm like, damn, like that's motivation right there. Like, I don't want to look stupid in front of her. I want to impress her. I want to show her that I'm as equal as she is. And
Yeah,
then there's sometimes you could meet a female and she's like, you're not equal to me, and it's like she pushes you to be like, I'm gonna show you that either I'm equal or I'm better. So I like females like that. So that's the most important role to me.
that's good. It's always good to be able to have somebody that's well rounded,
Right,
but in the same sense humble, and she has a backbone. I
right,
don't like pushover women either. I feel like they're just you too easy to get over on, and
right,
once men see that, like they're done with you within 2 months, 3 months tops. So
right. I
you
know
better learn to get that backbone, baby.
exactly. Do you
Gotta
feel
get that.
that women get enough praise? I mean, praise enough credit and praise?
I think yes and no. I say yes because I feel like the world is taking like this big acknowledgement that women are starting businesses on their own and they're thriving, they're making all this money, and it's just a lot like they're really doing. And outside of just being a hustler, right? Your life sometimes can revolve around a kid or kids. So, you got to be able
Right.
to find a balance and a juggle with that. But then on the flip hand side, I say no because I feel like this is the part where women need to start to recognize and want to stick together a little bit more. I think that the unity and hood is there's a disconnect, and there can be a disconnect for so many reasons, but I feel like if we come together and we work together and we uplift one another, um, we can definitely be in a better space. So I'm definitely like girl power, yay. I'm always going to be that. So in any kind of way I can support somebody and help, I'm going to do it. Doesn't matter like the space I am in life. If it's, I know that somebody can come to me and I can be beneficial, I'm going to do everything
Right.
in my power to make sure I'm holding it down and I'm looking out. So it would be nice to see more unity and womanhood because we definitely go through things and it's not easy. So to be able to have the support from one another, it definitely makes the journey a lot smoother.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. I have a friend, usually like the females in my life, I make them like my sister.
Hmm.
And I have a Cuban sister, like she's like top notch, she's like excellent. Why do you think some females they could be at the top, but they feel that they always got to prove themselves instead of just saying, "I don't care what you think about me. I'm still good at my job, and it doesn't matter of your opinion of myself. I'm still going to do what I got to do for myself."
Ooh,
And the reason why
that's
I say that was because she always kept trying to prove herself to Caucasian men, and I was telling her it don't matter what they think. You're doing your job, like you're good. Who cares what they think? They're gonna think their way. They're gonna think below of you, no matter what, and who cares? Like you're top. You're you know. And
yeah.
she just
I
didn't
think
get
a
it. She
lot of
said,
it has to do with how society views women as a whole, especially when they're climbing the ladder and they're high achievers,
right,
and their skills and assets and things that they contribute to their careers and things outside of that, the things that might be going on in their personal life. I think it becomes um, an easy target. And I
hmm,
say it becomes an easy target because there's a lot of that that's driven around ego. And I think
okay,
that sometimes, whether men want to admit to it or not, the male ego is very fragile. And I think that when you get around, not you per se, but I think that sometimes when men may get around women that are really powerful and they have a voice and they have a backbone, she has this going on, she has that going on. They kind of look and they dig into society to kind of do the compare and the compete kind of thing. And it's just like,
right,
you can't compete with masculine and feminine energy. It's two different lanes, it's two different levels. It's a reason
right,
why it's masculine and it's a reason why it's feminine. It's a reason for that. There's certain responsibilities that each of the energies carry. So I think a lot of that also too, outside of like I said, when it comes to the egos, it's the upbringing and how people may view women. Like, listen, we are not in 1927 anymore. We're
right,
not that. Like, we can get up, we could get it for ourselves. We're going to think for ourselves. We're going to go to work. If that means for some of us, if we're working 2 and 3 jobs, guess what? Outside of that, we know little Johnny got soccer practice. Sonny, he's going to be at that soccer practice on time. We're going to be on time
right,
to come home, to come cook, put them to bed, and do the homework. So we
hmm,
do it all. But I know when it comes to me, whatever room you put me in, I'm going to shake the table. There's
okay,
there's nothing about me that's going to come across as if I'm a pushover. And it's just the energy that I exude and it's the energy that I bring to the table. I don't even have to open my mouth. When I walk into the room, I guarantee you, I'm going to turn heads. I'm going to turn heads. I'm going to turn heads and I'm possibly going to break necks as well because
okay,
it's just who I am. And,
right,
I'm always going to introduce myself. And when I say introduce myself, I'm not talking about like your typical handshake. Hi, I'm so and so. I'm talking
right,
about introducing myself with my energy.
okay,
So before I open up my mouth and before I say anything, you are going to recognize my energy before anything. So you're going to know in that moment that I've arrived, and you're going to respect that.
Okay. So what if when you walk in and there was some guy that tried to make passes at you and you shoot him off, and he goes around telling everybody that basically you're a B. How do you navigate that? Because you say you go off at your energy lets people know who you are, the type of person you are. What if that person already said, nah, she's not who she thinks she is?
And first of all, when you acknowledge me, you're not just gonna call me a B, you gonna call me
I
Miss
know
B,
that.
right? You
Yeah.
gonna call me Miss B. Let's
Okay.
let's make that very clear.
Right.
Again, I think that when people act like that, again, you got to be able to tap into that ego, right? Clearly, there's
Yeah.
something about his ego that is bruised.
Right.
So for somebody like me, I'm not going to be bothered by that.
Hmm.
I get called this every day. So does that mean I have to entertain it? I'm
No.
here for a sole purpose, not because you want to run around and you want to talk about what you think I am.
Hmm.
That's your business. You know,
Yeah.
some people like it, some people love it, some people don't. And either way, that doesn't change my dynamic of who I am and how I
Right.
choose to represent myself. So I'm not going to shrink myself and I'm not going to dumb myself down for anybody. You better believe that. I work too hard. Absolutely not.
Okay. So more than a woman, what does that mean to you?
More than a woman, for this particular question, I think I am going to stick with character. Your
Okay.
character is who you are. It's your character tells a story. And that character is going to tell whether or not you're somebody that's solid, somebody that when things get hard, how do you handle things? Are you going to run? Are you going to fold? Are you going to hide?
Right.
Or are you going to take on the challenge and keep going and make sure you make the best of the end goal, whatever that may be, right?
Okay.
Um, are you somebody that prays? Who do you pray to? I think that's also very important. And again, that goes back into character. Who do you look up to? Who's your aspirations? Where do you get your inspiration from? Who motivates you? What do you think of yourself? And again, all of that ties back into character. So if you're walking around with your head down and you have a low self esteem, people pick up on that too.
Right.
So for me, I'm gonna have to say it's the character. The
Yeah, I
character
agree with you. Yeah.
makes you more than a woman. So it's the character. The character is always gonna tell who you are.
Exactly. The reason why I agree with you is because a female is a female, but when your character has a lot of flaws and you don't see nothing wrong with it, it's a turn off. Like, I don't want nothing to do with you. And an example of that I would give you is that one day I was walking, I went to an amusement park up north, and a
Mhm.
woman saw me, but she was with her husband and her girlfriend, and she was just staring at me. And then where we from, if somebody's looking at you, they probably trying to rob you or something. So
Yeah.
my alarms went off, and I'm just listening and listening, and she's telling her friend that if she wasn't married, that she would take me down. And I'm like, your husband right there, like that's the thing I'm talking about with character, like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And then even as people, they'll give you one spell that, oh, I'm here for you if you need me, but behind closed doors they climbing that ladder, they'll stab you in the back. And I've always been the type of person, I'm gonna tell you who I am. This is what you expect of me, and if you either accept it or you don't. And I feel like for a female that has a good character, good morals, that means a lot.
I agree. I think that females like that today and even in men, are very hard to come by. So I think that when you get it, you got to
Right.
be able to cherish it and hold on to it because
Of course.
not everybody is not everybody's honest. Not everybody is willing to, be vulnerable. Not everybody is willing to put in the work to actually build on anything anymore. I think everybody just looks at the end goal and says, "Oh yeah, like I want that." Got
Right.
it. There's nothing wrong with you wanting it, but what are the steps that you're taking to get there? There's
Hmm.
steps that you have to take to get there. Like you're not just gonna wake up and just, open this book and you're gonna see a whole bunch of fairies, coming around. So anything that you want requires work.
Yeah.
You got to
You're
be able
right.
to work. And the biggest asset to work is time. So you got to be mindful of that as well.
Okay. So speaking of time, tell us about a hustle that paid off and one that didn't pay off for you.
Ooh. Oh man. Okay. I'm for this one. I'm gonna give this. This is actually like a double-edged sword with
Okay.
this. So it's like it intertwines like with the same topic. Being a single mom. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. Um, but through the course of just living life and going through the different aspects with my kids, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for my kids. I love my kids to death. Um, I'm always praising my kids. I'm always going to invest in my kids. Those are my kids. And I recognize and I realize like that's my job. And I've known early on from when I had my son that prioritizing things as far as like going to school was definitely something that I had to take care of. I knew
Right.
it was something that was necessary. And I don't regret it at all. I wouldn't change that for the world. So on that aspect, we talk about the good sides, we talk about the accolades, we talk about the education, we talk about raising them up right and raising them to be humble and just decent human beings, which I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for because I see it and I hear it every day. Sometimes, I have random people that'll walk up to me in the street like, you so and so's mother, and yeah, that's my son. You did a good job of raising them. And
Right.
sometimes the job gets conflicted because you're just one person, so it's like I've gotten to that place where I had to second guess myself, and it's just like am I really enough? Am I doing all that I really could?
Right.
But again, on the flip hand side, when my hustle did come in, I had to learn to do it scared. I had to learn to do it alone.
Okay.
I had to learn to do it when I just plain didn't feel like doing it, but I had to get it
Right.
done. And even in that helped shape and mold a lot of my independency. So if it's something that I need to take care of, I'm not really big on relying on anybody. And again, like I said, life circumstances has taught me that, and I am thankful for that. I just get
Okay.
up and go, and I do what I got to do because I have to.
Okay. So for me, I would have to say a hustle that didn't pay off. Personally, I would have to say with Rich. And for
Okay.
those of you who don't know who Rich is, that's my brother. That's her cousin. That's my boy. Childhood friend. And the reason why I would say that it didn't pay off was because the maturity level wasn't there. And no matter what I would tell him, no much arguments we had, fights we had, and the path that I was trying to bring him down. If it wasn't for him, he wasn't ready for it, and it just led to frustrations. And eventually he'll get there, but I feel like that hustle failed me because he didn't understand what I wanted for him, and it was probably I would say my fault because I can't want for him what he doesn't want for himself. So that's why I say that one, you know, it didn't pay off. I know eventually it will, but right now it didn't. And then one that did pay off, I'll say leaving New York. Like when I signed the contract for the Marine Corps at the age of 16, I was gone, and like it's been a lot of ups and downs. But if you look at my life story now, like I always say, how I go from the project starving, crying to God to kill me, and then on paperwork, I'm worth over 1 million. So that's why I say like no nothing that's worth it comes quick. You just gotta play your role and keep at it.
Yeah.
Um, who has been your greatest example of a female hustler?
I'm gonna say in my personal life, I'm gonna say my mom,
Okay.
my sisters, extended family, and then in my professional life, um, there's just been a host of women. I come with a background in, you know, education, and I've been doing it for quite some time, and I love what I do. So with me having experience pre-K through 12, I've been blessed to see, and I've been exposed to some beautiful people,
Hmm.
and I'm thankful for it all. And flipping back into my personal life, even with some of the decisions that these women may have not been proud of, I'm proud of them. I take their hurts, their pains, their struggles, their story, and I just try to map out a better blueprint for my life.
Right.
So I'm thankful for being the witness of shortcomings,
Okay.
things that did work and things that did not work. So both personally and professionally.
Okay. I see. For me, I would have to say, just like you said, all the women that was in our lives growing up, from your aunt to my aunt, God bless the dead, my mother, Aunt Felicia, Junior's mother, even your sister Yvonne, Tracy. Like I have so many good examples of what a woman should be. And if they wasn't, no, like you said, nobody's perfect, but the good aspects, I will always take it out and say, like, when I finally have the woman that I want, I'm gonna look back at those women that were in my life and say, do you compare to them? Like, how do you measure up? And for me, those are, the women are examples of me that they mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Sorry. Uh, do women Do you prefer a partner who has the spirit or the mindset of a hustler?
Yes, I do. There was a
Okay, why you
point
say that?
in my life where I did too much of a builder man.
Okay,
We not doing that no more. I'm at the stage in my life where I'm door an explorer, so I'm gonna explore some things, and you better come equipped if you're gonna be a part of
well,
my life, because there's
okay,
requirements and there's certain attributes and things that I have to be able to be in alignment with you. So I think it's only right. So for me personally, I definitely prefer for somebody to hustle as hard as I do, if not more. There's just so much magic, I feel like, when it comes to like motivation. I think that when you're able to motivate your partner, this is it's just something that's sexy about that to me.
right,
Um, I think that being able to champion your partner and you being able to get that back, you can't really put a price on that. So just trying to push and propel, and my partner definitely has to have a life of his own. I don't want it
right,
to be a thing where he feels like he has to be stuck up under me. No, go out, go enjoy your friends, go network, go work on that business proposal that you have. You can bring that to me too, because I have an MBA, so I could be able to help you with that too. I like to be
right,
able to consider myself the jack of all trades. So, in any way that I can step in to, again, help organize, create, multiply, that's what I'm for. So, I have to be able to see that in my partner. Um, so for me, that's very important, because I come with children, and they have to be able to see that.
right.
So
Okay. Mentally, are you prepared for a hustler and everything that comes with being a hustler? And I'm not talking about and being in the streets. I'm talking about like the different type of people that person might come across, the late nights, stuff like that.
yes, because there's a lot of things that I do alone, as it is, as it stands today, um, that I'm very proud of, and I wouldn't mind sharing like that aspect of my life with somebody that has a shit together. You got to be together
Right.
because I know that's going to be a requirement for me. And when somebody walks into my life and he's serious, I want for him to be able to see that. Like she has it together. Like I'm really vibing off of this. I like how she's planning to always go after more. I'm a high achiever, so I'm always gonna give myself these deadlines and these goals to hit. So after I hit them, if I feel like I can add more to it, I'm gonna add more to it. But then I'm gonna move on to the next thing. And those are the things that I enjoy. So imagine of doing all these different creative things alone, but being able to bring a partner into that. I think it's beautiful.
Okay. So the last question. My ex, she was more about the physical, so she was always getting surgeries, and I wasn't about that. So that was something that we fought about. For you, a woman that holds it down on every aspect, doesn't need nothing, but she can actually, meaning financially, emotionally, spiritually. Is that more important, or is the body more important?
No. Again, like we talked about from the beginning, everything really does have to do with like the mindset. So when we're talking about like surgeries and doing all these things, you're just doing this. You're not even really doing it to appease yourself. You're doing it because you feel like you got to keep up with somebody else. And
Yep.
a lot of times, what happens with that, if it fades, it's just like you look crazy, you walk around, you go somewhere, you glowing, you're behind glowing, like why what you lighting up for? Like it's not natural. So a lot of it also has to do with
Hmm.
like in where you are mentally. So if you are in a space where you're always feeling like you have to keep up, you're never going to be satisfied because you truly
Right.
don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. You
Of
when you with this crowd, this is what you have to be. So if you around a whole bunch of people that smoke, you want to keep up with the in crowd, you got to be able to smoke. If you're around a bunch of people
right.
that do nothing but drink all day, you feel like you're missing out. That's what you're going to adapt to because you don't know who you are.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say a woman that is not capable of understanding who she is mentally is very
Hmm.
dangerous because she is going to fit the shape in the mold of whatever is happening in the moment just to be able
Right.
to crave some kind of attention. And just because you
Right.
get attention, it doesn't mean it's good attention. So I'm not with all of that. I'm not a fan of it. To be honest with you, like I'm not even somebody that wear makeup. Let me take these shades off for a minute. I can't stand it.
Right.
Everybody is like, oh, you know, leave me alone. I don't do it. It's small occasions where I may do makeup, maybe like for a wedding or like a certain occasion, but even in that, it's very light.
Right.
Get up, wash my face. I'm gonna put some lotion on that bad boy. I'm gonna put some Vaseline on my lips and I'm gonna keep it pushing. I'm not washing my face 18 times, putting the concealer on to get the eyelash. I can't even say the stuff because I'm not into it. I'm not attracted, like I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of it. So
Right.
if you don't like how I look, close your damn eyes. Keep it pushing.
Right.
Not
Exactly.
I'm not really drawn into that. Like I literally hate makeup. I hate it. I just like I said, it's a small chance that you will see me. So like I said, it depends on the occasion. Like I said, for a wedding or something like that, then yes. But every day, people really get up and pow tons of makeup on their face.
Yeah.
It's not even matching your skin complexion no more.
So
It's too much. No, no, I'm not doing it.
the clown
So
thing.
I'm not a fan of that. And I think that when it comes to the actual hustle side of things,
Right.
we're talking
Hmm.
about financially and spiritually, and a woman that's constantly working on herself, whether that's exercising, eating right, being around people that's going to motivate her, talking and speaking life into other people, that is always going to outweigh your looks because you could be very attractive and you can be dumb as hell and your attitude is nasty. I don't want to be around that. And neither do men. So
No.
People are going to go with what makes them feel comfortable, where they can feel the connection. I ain't got time for bad attitudes, bad bodies, and no, no, nah,
Right.
no. So the hustle, and
You and
again,
my
that's always gonna outweigh, you
yes.
know, this, always.
Yeah. Like with my ex, she wasn't doing it for herself. She was doing it to compete with girls that didn't have anything. And I would say, "Why are you doing that?" And then it was always because I'm a bad bitch. And I'm like, "All
Hmm.
right, you a bad bitch, but where's that you?" And then when, like you said, for that attention from guys, I was like, "Yeah, they might like you because they want to smash, but they ain't gonna take care of you." And eventually, after we broke up, she found out the hard way, and now she's sleeping somewhere on somebody's couch in California. And I was like, that's the life you chose. Like you wasn't made for this. And you say you a hustler, but you hustle your couch. So like, come on, it don't make no sense.
Yeah, that's a no go.
The
That's a no go.
mentality. Yeah, I know.
The mentality
Yeah,
is definitely it it's a beast. It's a beast, and
yeah,
if you're not careful, like I brought up earlier, talking about those lessons, right? Lessons tend to repeat themselves, when you don't learn from it. So
right.
some people just
Yeah,
take
like
longer to learn the lessons,
yeah,
and the only thing you can really do is you have to respect that and allow for people to grow when they grow, because what you see for yourself is not somebody else's vision,
hmm, okay, right,
and you can never lose
okay,
sight of that. And again,
never,
like I talked about from before, with people being in our lives, for certain seasons.
yeah,
What most people don't know, I've been single for 6 years, and it's a reason for that. Um, my past relationship taught me a lot with my daughter's father, and I'm not really big into like bashing. I'm not big into. I
hmm,
don't have to do that. Actions is always going to speak for itself. But when you in the space and you just ready to take off, and your partner is just at a standstill, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And you just have to be able to embrace life for what it is, the good, the bad, and the
right,
ugly. And you
hmm,
truly do have to make the best of it. So I have no complaints. Life is
okay,
beautiful.
I hear
My
you,
kids are good. I'm beautiful. I hold everything down on my own 100%.
right,
So whoever comes into my life, he's gonna be able to see that. And I want for him to be able to say like, wow, like she got it together. Like, hey, she doing this, she doing that. Like, no, like she's the truth. Yes, I am. I don't have to change who I am for anybody. So
true, right,
that's just what it is. So, sometimes, again, people have to learn their lessons, unfortunately, in different capacities. Sometimes people are able to realize those mistakes in the moment and really do everything in their power to correct it in the moment, to make certain things work. But I always say a lot of that is always a reflection of yourself. So if you yourself can't be a self
right,
starter for yourself, you can't be a self starter for a partner. You're not ready for a partner. You could talk about wanting a partner, you
right,
can talk about wanting a family, but if you don't have a job or you can't maintain income, how does that happen? What does that look like? We could talk about this all day. We could create vision boards, and we could be vision board the hell out. But if we're not
hmm,
taking the steps to do what we need to do after we have obtained it, now we have to look at what are we doing to maintain it.
right,
So if that hustle is not there, it's going to show, because it's not
you're
just
right,
about what you say, it's in your actions. So
right,
again, hustle is always going to tie in with your actions. I don't care about your words, I care about your actions. And if your actions
right,
say that you're a hustler, trust me, in Chrissy's eyes, you are a hustler.
exactly. I like that. So before we close out, out, because we need to get you into a relationship, I always ask females this, so I want to see what you say. You ready?
Hmm.
Princess or a queen? Which one are you?
That's like a no-brainer. So before I answer this question,
Okay.
here's what I'm gonna say, and I need you to think about the
Yeah.
game chess, and I need you to think
Yes.
about the board. What is the most powerful piece on the board?
The queen.
There you go. I'm a queen, baby.
Okay. All right. I got you. So this
Yes.
is episode 6, More Than a Woman. I'm Whidbee, and that's Chrissy. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget
Yes.
to
Thank you for having me. This was cool.